Alright, let me just adjust this camera. Decide what orientation is locked. Wait, let me just kind of. Why is orientation locked? Should we do? Alright, alright. Great day, best friends. Today we're live. As you can see in the title, it's not clickbait. We will read the passage of the Genesis together live. Alright? The Genesis, the full book of Genesis. Alright, let's start with the historification. In the beginning, when God created the universe, the earth was formless and desolate. The raging ocean that covered everything was engulfed in total darkness, and the Spirit of God was moving over the water. Then God commanded, "Let there be light," and light appeared. God was pleased with what he saw. Then he separated the light from the darkness, and he named the light day, and the darkness night. Evening passed and morning came. That was the first day. Then God commanded, "Let there be a dome to divide the water and to keep into separate places." It was done, so made by a dome. He separated the water under it from the water above it. He named the dome sky. Evening passed and morning came. That was the second day. Then God commanded, "Let the water below the sky come together in one place, so that the land will appear." It was done. He named the land earth, and the water which had come together he named sea. And God was pleased with what he saw. Then he commanded, "Let the earth produce all kind of plants, those that bear grain, and those that bear fruit." And it was done. So the earth produced all kinds of plants, and God was pleased with what he saw. Evening passed and morning came. That was the third day. Appeared in the sky to separate the day from night and to show the time when days, years, and religious festivals begin. They will shine in the sky to give light to the earth. And it was done. So God made the two larger lights, the sun to rule. The made the two larger lights, the sun to rule over the day and the moon to rule over the night. He also made the stars. He placed the lights in the sky to shine on the earth, to rule over the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God was pleased with what he saw. Evening passed and morning came. That was the fourth day. Then God commanded, "Let the water be filled with many kinds of living beings, and let the air be filled with birds." So God created the sea monsters. So God created the sea monsters, all kinds of creatures that live in the water, and all kinds of birds. And God was pleased with what he saw. He blessed them all and told the creatures that live in the water to reproduce and to fill the sea. And he told the birds, and increased the number. Evening passed and morning came. That was the fifth day. Then God commanded, "Let the earth produce all kinds of animal life, the domestic and wild, large and small." And it was done. So God made them all, and he was pleased with what he saw. Then God said, "And now we will make human beings. They will be like us and resemble us. They will have power over the fish, the birds, and all animals, domestic and wild, large and small." So God created human beings, making them to be like himself. He created them male and female, blessed and said, "Have many children, so that and bring it under control. And putting putting you in charge of the fish, birds, and all of the wild animals. I provided all the grains and kinds of fruits for you to eat. But for all wild animals and for all the birds, I provided grass and leafy plants for food." And it was done. God looked everything he had made, and he was very pleased. Evening passed, morning came. That was the sixth day. Alright, we focus at the first chapter. Alright. Shout out to Alvin Largo 23. Shout out to you, brother. May God bless you. Oh, there's so many watching. 8 and 21 viewers. Shout out to you all, guys. May God bless you all. So we'd go to the chapter 2. And so the whole universe was completed by the seventh day. God finished what he had been doing and stopped working. He blessed the seventh day and set it apart as a special day, because by that day he had completed his creation and stopped working, and that is how the universe was created. Now we're here in the Garden of Eden right now. When the Lord God made the universe, there were no plants on the earth and no seed that sprouted, because he had not set any rain, and there was no one to cultivate the land, but water would come up from beneath the surface and water the ground. Then the Lord God took some soil from the ground and formed a man out of it. He breathed life, giving breath into his nostrils, and the man began to live. Then the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put up beautiful trees to grow there and produce good fruit. In the middle of the garden stood the tree that gives knowledge of what is good and what is bad. A stream flowed in Eden, watered the garden. Beyond Eden, it divided into four rivers. The first river is the Pishon. It flows around the country of Havilah. Pure gold is found there, also rare perfume and precious stones. The second river is the Gihon. It around the country of Cush. The third river is the Tigris, which follows the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. Okay, shout out to this kind of name. I don't know what his name. History is very long, so let's continue, best friends. Then the Lord God placed the man in the Garden of Eden to cultivate it and guard it. He told him, "You may eat the tree that gives knowledge of what is good and what is bad. You must not eat the fruit of that tree. If you do, you will die the same day." Then the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to live alone. I will make a suitable companion to help him." And formed all the animals and all the birds. Then he brought them to the man to see what he would name, and that is how they get their name. So man on all of the birds and all the animals, but not one of them was suitable companion to help him. Then the Lord God made the man fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took out one of the man's ribs and closed up the flesh. He formed a woman out of the rib and brought her to him. Then the man said, "At last here is one of my own kind, bone taken from my home and flesh from my flesh. Woman is her name, because she was taken out of man. That is why a man leaves his father and mother is united with his wife, and they became one. The man and the woman were both naked, but they were not embarrassed." Alright, we are here in chapter 3. Alright, we're in 3, right? Human disobedience. Now the snake was the most cunning animal that the Lord had made. The snake asked the woman, "Did God really tell her not to eat the fruit in the garden? We may eat the fruit of any tree in the garden." The woman answered, "Except the tree in the middle of it. God told us not to eat the fruit of that tree or even touch it. If we do, we will die." The snake replied, "That's not true. You will not die. God said, because he knows when you eat it, if you will be like it will be you will be like God and know what is good and what is bad." The woman saw how beautiful the tree was and how good its fruit would be to eat. And she thought how wonderful it would be to become wise, so she took some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave it to her husband, and he also ate it. As soon they had eaten it, if they were given understanding and realized that they were naked, so they were fig leaves together and covered themselves. That evening they heard the Lord God walking in the garden. They hid from him among the trees. But the Lord God called the man. "Where are you?" He answered, I heard you in the garden. I was afraid I hid for you because I was naked." "Who told you that you were naked?" God asked. "Did you eat the fruit that I told you not to eat?" The man answered, The woman you put here gave me the fruit, and I ate it." The Lord God asked the woman, "Why did you do this?" She replied, "The snake tricked me from Eden." And now here, God pronounces judgment. Then the Lord God said to the snake, "You will be punished for this. You alone of all the animals must bear their curse. From now on you will crawl on your belly, and you will live to eat dust, and as long as I will make you and the woman hate each other. Her offspring and yours will always be enemies. Her offspring will crush your head, and you will bite her offspring heel." And he said to the woman, "I will increase your trouble in pregnancy and your pain in giving birth. In spite of this, you will have desire for your husband, yet you will have be subject to him." And he said to the man, You listen to your wife and ate the fruit which I have told you to eat. Because of what you have done, the ground you will be under the curse. You will have to work hard all of your life to pronounce enough food for you. It will pronounce weeds and thorns for you, and you will have to eat plants. You will have to work hard and sweat to make the soil produce anything until you come back. The soil from you were formed. You were made from soil, and you will become soil again. Adam named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all human. Alright, we're here at Genesis 3 to 4. Beings and the Lord God made clothes out of animal skins for Adam and his wife, and he clothed them. Now we're here. Adam and Eve are sent out of the garden. Then the Lord said, now these human beings have become like one of us and have knowledge what is good and what is bad. They must not be allowed to take the fruit from the tree that gives life and live forever. So the Lord God sent them out of the Garden of Eden and said, and made them cultivate the soil from which they have been formed. Then, at the east side of the garden, he put living creatures and a flaming sword, which turned in all directions. This was to keep anyone from coming near the tree gives life. And now we're here already to the story of Cain and Abel. Then Adam had intercourse with his wife, and she became pregnant. She bore a son and said, by the Lord's help, I have gotten a son. So she named him Cain. Later she gave birth to another son, Abel. Abel became a shepherd, but Cain was a farmer. After some time, Cain brought some of his harvest and gave his offering to the Lord. Then Abel brought the first lamb born to one of sheep and killed it and gave it the best parts. It was an offering. The Lord was pleased with Abel and his offering, but he rejected Cain and his offering. Cain became fierce and he called him anger. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why does skull on your face? If you had done the right thing, you would be smiling. But because you have done evil, sin is scratching at your door, and it wants to rule you, but you must overcome it. Then Cain said to his brother Abel, let's go out in the fields. When they were out in the fields, Cain turned his brother and killed him. The Lord asked Cain, where's your brother Abel? He answered, I don't know. Am I supposed to take care of my brother? Then the Lord said, why have you done this terrible thing? Your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground like a calling for revenge. You are placed under a curse and can no longer farm the soil. It has soaked up your brother's blood as if it had opened its mouth to receive it when you killed him. If you try to grow crops and the soil will not produce anything, you will be a homeless wanderer on the earth. And Cain said to the Lord, this punishment is too hard for me to bear. You are driving me off the land and away from your presence. I will be a homeless wanderer on the earth, and anyone who finds me will kill me. But the Lord answered, no, if anyone kills you, 7 lives will be taken in revenge. So the Lord put a mark on Cain to warn anyone who meant not to kill him. And Cain went away from the Lord's presence and lived in the land called Wonder, which is the east of Eden. Now we hear the descendants of Cain. Cain and his wife had a son and named him Enoch. Then Cain built a city and named it after the son. Enoch had a son named Irad, who was the father of how do we pronounce this name? Mehujael. Let's pronounce this name. Mehujael, and Mehujael had a son named Methushael, who was the father of Lamech. Lamech had 2 wives, Ada and Zillah. Ada gave birth to Jabal, who was an ancestor of those. His brother was Jubal, the ancestor of all musicians who play harp and the flute. Zillah gave birth to Tubal-Cain, who made all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, listen to me. I have killed a young man because he struck me. If 7 lives are taken to pay for killing Cain, 77 will be taken if anyone kills me. Now we go with this. Seth and Enosh. Adam and his wife had another son. She said, God has given me a son to replace Abel, whom Cain. So she named him Seth. Seth had a son whom named Enosh. It was then that people began using the Lord's holy name in worship. Now we get back up the descendants of Adam. This is the list of the descendants of Adam. When God created human beings, He made them like Himself. He created them male and female. Blessed them human beings. When Adam was 130 years old, he had a son who was like him, and he named him Seth. After that, Adam lived another 800 years. He had other children and died at the age of 930. When Seth was 105, he had a son, Enosh, and then lived another 807. He had other children and died at the age of 912. When Enosh was 90, he had a son, Kenan, and then lived another 815 years. He had other children and died at the age of 905. When Kenan was 70, he had a son, Mahalalel, and then lived another 840 years. He had other children and died at the age of 910. When Mahal when Mahalalel when Mahalalel was 65, he had a son Jared and lived another 800 years. He had other children. He had died at the age of 895. When Jared was 162, he had a son Enoch and lived another 800 years. He had other children and died at the age of 962. When Enoch was 65, he had a son Methuselah, and after that, Enoch lived in fellowship with God for 300 years and had other children. He lived to be 365 years old. He spent his life in fellowship with God, and then he disappeared because God took him away. When Methuselah was 187, he had a son Lamech and then lived another 782 years. He had the children and died at the age of 969. When Lamech was 182, he had a son and said, from the every ground on which the Lord put a curse, this child will bring us relief from all hard work, so we named him Noah. Lamech lived another 695 years. He had other children and died at the age of 777. After Noah was 500 years old, he had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And now we're here, human wickedness. When people had spread all over the world and daughters were being born, some of the heavenly beings saw that this young woman, heavenly beings saw that this young woman were beautiful. So they took the one they liked. Then the Lord said, I will not allow people to live forever. They were mortal from now on. They will live longer than 120 years. In those days and even later, there were giants on the earth who were descendants of human women, and the heavenly beings, they were the great heroes and famous men of long ago. When the Lord saw how wicked everyone on earth and how evil their thoughts were all the time, he was sorry that he had ever made them and put them on the earth. He was so filled with regret that he said, I will wipe out this. What is this? I will wipe out this people. Alright, we're here. I will wipe out these people I have created, also the animals, the birds, because I am sorry that I made any of them. But the Lord was pleased with Noah. Alright, let's take a kind of break, guys. I want to just check something. How is our live going? I'm just gonna check it. Trying to double check it, if we're really live. So shout out to the 8 people. May God bless you all. So the context of this video, we will finish this live by reading all of the book of Genesis. Great, right? Because we need to do it because God will bless us. So all of the people watching, the 7 people right here, all of the people watching the live, may God bless you all. Yeah, yeah, look at this, man. We are in the YouTube Shorts, like I'm kind of reviewing it. All right, let's go. Let's continue it. Okay, we're at the book of Noah. This is the story of Noah. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Noah had no faults and was the only good man of his time. He lived in fellowship with God, but everyone else was evil in God's sight, and violence spread everywhere. God looked and saw what evil for the people, all living lives. God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to all of the people. I will destroy them completely because the world is full of violent deeds. Build a boat for yourself out of good timber. Make rooms in it and cover it with tar inside and out. Make it 450 long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for the boat and leave a space of 18 inches between the roof and the sides. Build it with 3 decks and put a door on the side. I am going to send a flood on the earth to destroy everything on the earth. The earth will die, but I will make a covenant with you. Go into the boat with your wife, your sons and their wives take into the boat with you, and a female of every kind of animal and of every kind of bird, in order to keep them alive. Take along all kinds of food for you and for them. Noah did everything that God commanded. The flood. The Lord said to Noah, go into the boat with your whole family. I have found that you are the only one in all the world who does what is right. Take with you 7 pairs of each kind of ritually clean animal, but only 1 pair of each kind of unclean animal. That also 7 that but only one pair of each kind of unclean animal. Take also 7 pairs of kinds of each bird. Do this so that every kind of animal and bird will be kept alive to reproduce again on the earth. 7 days from now I am going to send the rain. Will fall for 40 days and nights in order to destroy all the living beings that I have made. And Noah did everything that the Lord commanded. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came on the earth, and his wife and his sons and their wives went into the boat to escape the flood. A male and a female of every kind of animal and bird, were ritually clean or unclean, went into the boat with Noah as God commanded. 7 days later the flood came. When Noah was 600 years old on the 17th day of the second month, all of the outlets of the vast body of water beneath the burst opened, all the floodgates of the sky were opened, and rain fell on the earth for 40 days and nights. On the same day, Noah and his wife went into the boat with their 3 sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives with them. Went every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, and every kind of bird, a male and a female, of each kind of living being went into the boat with Noah, as God had commanded. Then the Lord shut the door behind Noah. The flood continued for 40 days, and the water became deep through enough for the boat to float. The water became deeper, and the boat drifted on the surface. It became so deep that it covered the highest mountains. It went on rising until it was about 25 feet. Above the tops of the mountains, every living being on the earth died. Every bird, every animal, and every person, everything on earth that breathed died. The Lord destroyed all living beings on the earth, human beings, animals, and birds. The only ones left were Noah and those who were with him in the boat. The water did not start going down for under 150 days. End of the flood. God had not forgotten Noah and all the animals with him in the boat. He caused a wind to blow, and the water started going down. The outlets of the water beneath the earth and the flood gates of the sky were closed. The rain stopped. The water gradually went down for 150 days. On the 70th day of the 7th month, the boat came to the rest of the matter in the Ararat range. The water kept going down, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains appeared. After 40 days, Noah opened the window and sent out a raven. It did not come back, but kept flying around until, while Noah sent out a dove to see if the water had gone down. But since the water still covered all the land, the dove did not find a place to light. It flew back to the boat, and Noah reached out the land and took it in. He waited another 7 days and set out on the dove again. It returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf and its beak. So Noah that the water had gone down. Then he had waited on another 7 days and set out the dove once more. This time it did not come back. When Noah was 601 years old on the first day of the month, on the first day of the first month, the water was gone. Noah removed the covering of the boat, looked around, and saw that the ground was getting dry. By 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. God said to Noah, "Go out the boat with your wife and son. Go out of the boat with your wife and sons and their wives. Take all the birds and animals and spread them all over the earth." So Noah went out of the boat with his wife, his sons and their wives. All the animals and birds went out of the boat in groups of their kind and of their kind. And now we hear that Noah offers a sacrifice. Noah built an altar to the Lord. He took one of each kind of literally clean animal and bird and burned them whole as a sacrifice on the altar. The odor of the sacrifice pleased the Lord, and he said to himself, "Never again I will put under a curse because of what people do. I know that from the time they are young, their thoughts are evil. Never again I will destroy living beings as I have done this time. As long as the world exists, there will be a time for planting, a time for harvest." Okay, shout out to Adogritty67. God bless you. As long as the world exists, there will be a time for planting and a time for harvest. There will be cold and heat, summer and winters, day and night. God's covenant with Noah. God blessed Noah and his sons and said, "Have many children so that your descendants will live all over the earth. All the animals, birds, and fish will live in fear of you. They are all placed under your power, now you can eat them. As well as green plants, I give them all to you for food. The one thing you must not eat is meat with blood still in it. I forbid this because the life is in the blood. If anyone takes human life, he will be punished. I will, I will punish with death and any animal that takes human life, human beings made like God, so whoever murders one of them will be killed by someone else. You must have many children so that your descendants will live all over the earth. God said to Noah and his sons, I am now making my covenants with you and with your descendants and with all living beings, all birds and all animals, everything that came out of the boat with you. With these words I make covenant with you. I promise that never with, with all destroy being the flood, never again will a flood destroy the earth. As a sign of this everlasting covenant which I am making with you and all living beings, I am putting my bow in the clouds. I will be the sign of my covenant with the world. Whenever I cover the sky with clouds and the rainbow appears, I will remember my promise to you. And to all animals that a flood will never destroy all living beings. When the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between me and all living beings on earth. That is the sign of the promise which I am making to all living beings. Noah and his sons. The sons of Noah who went out of the boat were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three sons of Noah were the ancestors of the people on earth. Of all the people of earth, Noah was a farmer, was the first man to plant a vineyard. After drunk some of the wine, he became drunk, took off his clothes, and lay naked in his tent. When Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked, he went out and told his two brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a rope and held it behind them on their shoulders. On their shoulders. They walked backward into the tent and covered their father, keeping their faces turned away as not to see him naked. When Noah saw that and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, a curse on Canaan. He will be slave to his brothers. Give praise to the Lord, the God to Shem. Canaan will be the slave of Shem. May God cause Japheth to increase. May his descendants live with the people of Shem. Canaan will be the slave of Japheth. After the flood, Noah lived 250 years, and died at the age of 950. Noah died at the age of 950. Alright. The descendants of Noah's son. These are the descendants of Noah's son, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These three had sons after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and who bear these names. The descendants of Gomer were the people of Ashkenaz, Rephath, and Togarmah. And the descendants of Javan were the people of Elisha, Spain, Cyprus, and Rhodes. They were the ancestor of the people who lived. Read it, chapter 10. Thank God for that. Thank God very much for that. We're ready to Genesis chapter 10. Along the coast on the islands, these are the descendants of Japheth, living in their different tribes and countries, each group speaking its own language. The sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Libya, and Canaan were the ancestors of the people who bear the names of descendants of Cush were the people of Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. The descendants of the Ramah were the people of Sheba and Dedan. Cush had the son named Nimrod, who became the world's first great conqueror. By the Lord's help, he was a great hunter. And that is why people say, may the Lord you was a great hunter as a Nimrod. As Nimrod. At his first kingdom included Babylon, Erech, and Akdad, all of them in Babylonia. From the land he went to Assyria and built the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Kula, and Resen, which is between Nineveh and the great city of Kala. The descendants of Egypt were the people of Lydia. Anam, Lehab, Naptu, Patrus, Caslu, and of Crete, from whom the Phalanxes are descended. Canaan's sons, Sidon, the oldest and Het, were the ancestors of the people who bear their names. Canaan was also the ancestor of the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Archites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites, the different tribes of the Canaanites, spread out until the Canaanite borders reached from Sidon southward to Gerar near Gaza, and eastward to Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim near Lasha. There, there are the descendants of Ham living in their different tribes and countries, each group speaking its language. Shem, the older brother of Japheth, was the ancestor of all the Hebrews. Shem's sons Elam, Ashur, Arpach, Shad, Lud, and Aram were the ancestors of the people were their names. The descendants of Aram were the people of Uz, Hul, Geter, and Meshech. Arshparj was the father of Shelah, who was the father of Eber. Eber had two sons, which one was named Peleg, because during his time the people of the world divided, and the other was named Joktan. The descendants of Joktan were the people of Almodad, Shelef, Harmazet, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All of them were descended from Joktan. The land in which they live extended from Mesha to Safar in the eastern hill country. They are descendants of Shem, living in their different tribes and countries, each group speaking its own language. All these people are descendants of Noah, nation by nation, according to their different lines of descent after the flood. All the nations of the earth were descended from the sons of Noah. The Tower of Babylon. At first, the people of the whole world had only one language and used the same words. As they wandered about in the east, they came to a plain in Babylonia and settled there. They said to one another, "Come on, let's make bricks and break them and bake them hard." So they had bricks to build with and tar to hold them together. They said, "Now let's build the city where the tower reaches the sky, so that we can name ourselves and not scatter all over the earth." Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which they had built, and said, "Now then, there are all people who speak one language. This is just the beginning of what they are going to do soon. They will be able to mix up their language so that they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them all over the earth and they stopped building the city. The city Lord mixed up the language of all the people, and from there he scattered them all over the earth. The descendants of Shem. These are the descendants of Shem. 2 years after the flood, and when Shem was 100 years old, he had the son Arpachshad. After that, he lived another 500 years and had other children when Arpachshad was 35 years old. What's that? He had a son Shelah. After that, he lived another 403 years and had other children. When Shelah was 30 years old, he had the son Eber. After that, he lived in other 403 years and had the other children. When Eber was 34 years old, he had the son Peleg. After that, he lived in other 430 years and had other children. When Peleg was 30 years old, he had the son Ru. After that, he lived another 209 years and had other children. When Ru was 30 years old, he had the son Serug. After that, he lived another 207 years and had other children. When Serug was 30 years old, he had the son Nahor. After that, he lived 200 years and had other children. When Nahor was 29 years old, he had the son Terah. After that, he lived another 119 years and had other children. After Terah was 70 years old, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. The descendants of Terah. These are the descendants of Terah, who was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran was the father of Lot, and Haran died in the hometown of Ur in Babylonia. While his father was still Abram married Sarai, and Nahor married Milcah, the daughter of Haran, who was also the father of Iscah. Sarai was not able to have children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, who was the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, Abram's wife, and with them he left the city Ur in Babylon to go to the land of Canaan. They went as far as Haran and settled there. Terah died there at the age of 205. God calls to Abram. The Lord said to Abram, "Leave your country, your relatives, and I'm going to show you. I will give you many descendants, and they will become a great nation. I will bless you and make your name famous so that you will be a blessing. But I will curse those who curse you, and through you I will bless all the nations." When Abraham was 70 years old, he started from Haran, as the Lord as the Lord as the Lord told him to do, and Lot went to him. Lot went with him. Abraham took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all the wealth and all the slaves they had acquired in Haran, and they started out for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land until he came to the sacred tree of Moreh, the holy place at Shechem. At the time the Canaanites were still living in the land, the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "Going to give to your descendants." Then Abram built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. After that, he moved on south. He moved on south to the hill country east of the city of Bethel and set up his camp between Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There also he built an altar and worshipped the Lord. Then he moved on from place to place, and going toward to the southern part of Canaan. Abram in Egypt. But there was a famine in Canaan, and it was so bad that Abraham went farther south to Egypt to live there for a while. When he was about to cross the border into Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "You are a beautiful woman. When the real Egyptians see you, they will assume that you are my wife, so they will kill me and let you live. Tell them that you are my sister, and then because of you, they will let me live and treat me well. When he crossed the border into Egypt, the Egyptians did see that his wife was beautiful. Some of the court officials saw her and told the king how beautiful she was. So she was taken to his palace. Because of the king treated Abram well and gave him flocks of sheep and goats, cattle, donkeys, slaves, and camels. But because the king had taken Sarai, the Lord sent terrible diseases on him and on the people of his palace. Then the king sent for Abraham and asked him, "What have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say that she was your sister and let me take her as your wife? Here is your wife, take her and get out." The king gave orders to his men, so they took Abram to put him out of the country together with his wife and everything he owned. Abraham and Lot separate. Abraham went north out of Egypt to the southern part of Canaan with his wife and everything he owned, and Lot went with him. Abraham was a very rich man with sheep, goats, and cattle, as well as silver and gold. Then he left there and moved. And moved from palace to palace. Going to Bethel, he reached the place between Bethel and Ai where he had camped before and had built an altar there. There he worshipped the Lord. Lot had sheep, goats, and cattle, as well as his own family and servants, and so there was not enough fresh pasture land for the two of them to stay together, because they had too many animals. So quarrels broke out between the men who took care of Abram's animals, who took care of Lot's animals. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were living in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, "We are relatives, and your man and my man shouldn't be quarreling. So let's separate. Choose any part of the land you want. You go one way and I go the other." Lot looked around and saw that the whole Jordan Valley and all the way to Zoar had plenty of water, like the garden of the Lord, or like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord had destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose the whole Jordan Valley for himself and moved away toward the east. That is how the two men parted. Abraham stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot settled among the cities in the valleys and camped near Sodom. whose people were wicked and sinned against the Lord. Abram moves to Hebron. After Lot had left, the Lord said to Abram, "From where you are, look here and fully in all direction. I am going to give you and your descendants all the land that you see, and it will be yours forever. I am going to give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them all. It will be as easy to count all the specks of dust on earth. Now, go and look over the whole land, because I am going to give it all to you." So Abram moved come and settled near the sacred trees of Mamre at Hebron, and there he built an altar of the Lord. Abram rescues Lot. 4 kings, Asraphel of Babylonia, Arakiah of Elasar, Chedorlaomer of Elam, and Tidal Golim, went to war against 5 other kings: Bera of Sodom, Birsha of Gomorrah, Shinab of Admah, Shemeber of Zebolim, and the king of Bela or Zor. These 5 kings had formed an alliance and joined forces in the Siddim Valley, which is now the Dead Sea. They had been under the control of Chedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 30th day, they rebelled against him. In the 40th year, Chedorlaomer and his allies came with her armies and defeated the Rephaim and Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzim and Ham, the Emim in the plain of Kirataim, and the Horites in the mountains of Edom. Pursuing them as far as Elfron on the edge of the desert, they turned around and came back to Kadesh. They known as Mishpat, they conquered all the land, the Amalekites, and defeated the Amorites who live Hazazon Tamar. Then the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zebolim, and Bela drew up their armies for their battle in Siddim Valley. And fought against the kings of Elam, Golan, Babylonia, and Elasar, 5 kings against the valley, full of tar pits. And when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah tried to run away from the battle, they fell into the pits, but the other 3 kings escaped to the mountains. Sodom and Gomorrah, including the food, and went away. Lot, Abram's nephew, was living in Sodom, so they took him and all his possessions, but a man escaped and reported all this to Abram, the Hebrew who was living near the sacred trees belonging to Mamre the Amorite. Mamre and his brothers Eshcol and Aner were Abram's allies. When Abram heard that his nephew had been captured, he called together and all the fighting men in his camp, and all pursued men in his camp, and all in his camp 218, and all in pursued the 4 kings all the way to Dan. There he divided his men into groups, attacked the enemy by night, and defeated them. He chased them as far as Hova, north of Damascus, and got back all the loot that had been taken. He also brought back his nephew Lot and his possessions together with the woman and the other prisoners. Melchizedek blesses Abram. When Abram came back from his victory over Chedorlaomer and the other kings, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in Sheba Valley, also called King's Valley, and Melchizedek, who was king of Salem and also a priest of the Most High God, brought bread and wine to Abram, blessed them, and said, "May the Most High God, who made heaven and earth, bless Abram. May the Most High God, who gave you victory gave Melchizedek a tenth of all the loot he had recovered." Lord, give me strength. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Keep the loot, but give me back all my people." Abram answered, "I solemnly swear before the Lord, the Most High God, maker of heaven and earth, that I will not keep anything of yours, and not even your thread of sandal strap. Then you can never say, 'I am the one who made Abram rich.' I will take nothing for myself. I will accept only my men have used. but let my allies Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre take their share. Alright, we're here. God's covenant with Abram. After this, Abram had a vision and heard the Lord say to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, I will shield you from danger and give you a great reward." But Abram answered, "Sovereign Lord, what good will you reward to me, since I have no children? My only heir is Eliezer of Damascus. You have given me no children, and one of my slaves will inherit my property." Then he heard the Lord speaking to him again. "The slave Eliezer will not inherit your property, your own son will be your heir." The Lord took him out, sighed and said, "Look at the sky and try to count the stars. You will have as many descendants as that." Abram put his trust in the Lord, and because of this, the Lord was pleased with him and accepted him. Then the Lord said to him, "I am the Lord who led you out of your Babylonia to give you this land as your own." But Abram asked, "Sovereign Lord, how can I know that it will be mine?" He answered, "Bring me a cow, a goat, and a ram, each of them 3 years, old, and a dove and a pigeon." Abraham brought the animals to God, cut them in half, and placed the halves opposite each half, and placed the halves opposite each other in 2 rows. But he did not cut up the birds. Vultures came down on the birds, but Abraham dropped them up. When the sun was going down and terror came over him, the Lord said to him, "Your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land. They will be slaves and will be treated cruelly for 400 years. But I will punish the nation. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and when they leave the foreign land, they will take great wealth with them. You yourself will live a ripe old age, die in peace, and be buried. It will be 4 generations before your descendants come back here, because I will not drive out the Amorites until they become so wicked that they must be punished." When the sun had set and it was dark, a smoking fire and a flaming torch suddenly appeared and passed between the spaces of the animals. And there the Lord made a covenant with Abram. He said, "I promise to give your descendants all this land from the border of Egypt to the Euphrates River, including the lands of Canaanites, the Kezites, and the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites." Hagar and Ishmael. Abram's wife Sarai had not borne him any children, but she had an Egyptian slave woman named Hagar. And so she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave? Perhaps she can have a child for me." Abram agreed with what Sarai said, so she gave Hagar to him to be with his concubine. This happened after Abram lived in Canaan for 10 years. Abram had intercourse with Hagar, and she became pregnant when she found out she was pregnant, and became proud and despised Sarai. Then Sarai said to Abraham, "It's your fault that Hagar despises me. I myself gave her to you, and ever since she found out that she was pregnant, she was despised me. May the Lord judge which of us is right or me." Abram answered, "Very well, she is your slave, and under your control. Do whatever you want to her." Then Sarai treated Hagar so cruelly that she ran away. And the angel of the Lord Hagar at the spring in the desert on the road to Shur, and said, "Hagar, the slave of Sarai, where have you came from, and where are you going?" She had answered, "I am running away from my mistress." He said, "Go back to her and be your slave." Then he said, "I will give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them. You are going to have a son, and you will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your cry of distress. But your son will live like a wild donkey. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will live apart from all his relatives." Hagar asked herself, "Have I really seen God and lived to tell about it?" So she called the Lord had spoken so a God who sees. That is why people call the well between Kadesh and Bear the well of the living one who sees me. Hagar bore Abraham a son, and he named him Ishmael. Abraham was 86 years old at the time. Circumcision, the sign of the covenant. When Abraham was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the Almighty God, obey me and I will always do what is right. I will make my I will make my cov I will make my covenant with you. I will make my covenant wait. I will make my covenant with you and give you many descendants. Abraham bowed down with his face touching the ground, and God said, I will make a covenant with you. I promise that but Abraham. I am making you the ancestor of many nations. I will give you many descendants, and some of them will be kings. You will have so many descendants that they will become nations. I will keep my promise to you and to your descendants in future generations as an everlasting covenant. I will be your God and your God descendants. I will give to you and to your and the God of your descendants. I will give it to you and to your descendants this land in which you are now for you are now a foreigner. The whole land of Canaan will belong to your descendants forever, and I will be their God. God said to Abraham, you also must agree to keep the covenant with me, but you and your descendants in the future generations, you and your descendants must all agree to circumcise every male among you. From now on, from now on, her name is Sarah. I will bless her. I will bless her and I will give her you a son by her. I will bless her and she will become the mother of nations. And there will be the king and there will be the kings of and there will be the kings among her descendants. Touching the ground, but he began to laugh, and he thought, can a man have a child when he is 100 years old? Can Sarah have a child at 90? He asked God, why not Ishmael be my heir? But God said, no, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will keep my covenant with him and with his descendants forever. It is an everlasting covenant. I have heard your request about Ishmael. So I will bless him and give him many children, and many descendants. He will be the father of 12 princes, and I will make a great nation of his descendants. But I will keep my covenant with your son Isaac, who will be born to Sarah. About this time next year, when God finished speaking to Abraham, he left him. On that same day, Abraham obeyed God and circumcised his son Ishmael, and all the other Mason household, including the slaves born in his home, and those he had brought. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. They were both circumcised at the same day, together with all of Abraham's slaves. A son is promised to Abraham. The Lord appeared to Abraham at the sacred trees of Mamre, as Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the hottest part of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing there. As soon as he saw them, he ran out to meet them, bowing down with his face touching the ground. He said, sirs, please do not pass my home without stopping. I am here to serve you. Please let me bring water for you to wash your feet. You can rest here beneath this tree. I will also bring a bit of food. I will also bring a bit of food. It will give you strength to continue your journey. You have honored me by coming to my home, so let me serve you. They replied, thank you, we accept. Abraham hurried into the tent and said, Sarah, quick, take a sack of your best flour and bake some bread. Then he ran to the herd and picked up a cow that was tender and fat and gave it to a servant who hurried to get it ready. He took some cream, some milk, and the meat and set the food before the man. There under the tree he served them himself, and they ate. Alright, shout out to Clint De La Cruz 66. Yeah, I'm Filipino. God bless you all. The 3 people they're watching, God bless you all, guys. Then they asked him, where is your wife Sarah? She said, she is there in the tent. He answered. One of them said, 9 months from now I will come back, and your wife Sarah will have a son. Sarah was behind him at the door of the tent, listening. Abraham and Sarah were very old, and Sarah had stopped having her multi periods. So Sarah laughed so herself, now that I am worn out, can I still enjoy sex? And besides, my husband is old too. Then the Lord asked Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, can I really have a child when I am so old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? As I said, 9 months from now, I will return and Sarah will have a son. Because Sarah was afraid, she denied it. I didn't laugh. She said, yes, you did. He replied, you laughed. Next, Abraham fled for Sodom. Then the men left and left to a place where they could look down at Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them on their way. And the Lord said to himself, I will not hide from Abraham what I am going to do. His descendants will become a great and mighty nation, and through him I will bless all the nations. I have chosen him in order that he may command his sons excuse me, and his descendants to obey me and to do what is right and just. If they do, I will do everything for him I have promised. Then the Lord said to Abraham, there are terrible accusations against Sodom and Gomorrah, and their sin is very great. I must go down to find out whether or not true accusations which I have heard are true. Then the two men left and went on towards Sodom. But the Lord remained with Abraham. Abraham approached the Lord and asked, are you really going to destroy the innocent with the guilty? If there are 50 innocent people in the city, will destroy the whole city? Won't you spare in order to save the 50? Surely you won't kill innocent with the guilty. That's impossible. You can't do that. If you did, the innocent would be punished along with the guilty. That is impossible. The judge of all the earth has to act justly. The Lord answered, if I find 50 innocent people in Sodom, I will spare the whole city for their sake. Abraham spoke again, please forgive my boldness in continuing to speak with you, Lord. I am an only man and have no right to say anything. But perhaps there will only be 45 innocent people instead of 50. We'll destroy the whole city because there are five too few. The Lord answered, I will not destroy the city. I find 45 innocent people. Abraham spoke again, perhaps there will be only 40. He replied, I will not destroy if there are 40. Abraham said, don't be angry, Lord, but I must speak again. What if there are only thirsty? What if there are only thirsty? He said, I will not do if I find 30. Oh, sorry. Let's read it again, right? Abraham said, don't be angry, Lord, but I must speak again. What if there are only 30? He said, I will not do it if I find 30. Abraham said, please forgive my boldness in continuing to speak to you, Lord. Suppose that only 20 are found. He said, I will not destroy the city if I find 20. Abraham said, please don't be angry, Lord, and I will speak once more. What if only 10 are found? He said, I will not destroy if there are 10. After he had finished speaking with Abraham, the Lord went away and Abraham returned home. The sinfulness of Sodom. When the two angels came to Sodom that evening, Lot was sitting at the city gate. As soon as he saw them, he got up and went to meet them. He bowed down before them and said, sirs, I am here to serve you. Please come to my house. You can wash your feet and spend the night in the morning. You can get up early and go on your way. But they answered, no, I will spend the night here in the city square. But he kept on urging them, and finally they went with him to his house. Lot ordered his servants to make some bread and prepare a fine meal for the guests. When it was ready, where's that? When it was ready, they ate it before the guests went to bed. The men of Sodom ran to the house, all the men of the city, both young and old, were there. They called out to Lot and asked, where are the men? Where are we? Said, where are the men who came to stay with you tonight, breathing out to us? The men of Sodom wanted to have sex with them. Lot went outside and closed the door behind him. He said to them, Friends, I beg you, don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who are still virgins. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do whatever you want with them. But don't do anything to these men. They are guests in my house, and I must protect them." But they said, "Get out of your way, you foreigner. Who are you to tell us what to do? Out of your way, or we will treat you worse than them." They pushed Lot back and were to break down the door. But the two men inside reached out, pulled Lot back, and shut the door, and then they struck all the men outside with blindness, so that they couldn't find the door. Lot leaves Sodom. The two men said to Lot, "If you have anyone else here, sons, daughters, sons-in-law, or any relatives living in the city, get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The Lord the Lord has heard the terrible accusations against these people." Sorry. Of these people, and has sent us to destroy Sodom. Then Lot went to the man that his daughters were going to marry and said, "Hurry up and get out of here. The Lord is going to destroy this place." But they thought he was joking. At dawn, the angels tried to make Lot hurry. "Quick," they said, "take your wife and your two daughters and get out, so that you will not lose your lives when the city is destroyed." Lot hesitated. The city is destroyed. Lot hesitated. The Lord, however, had him. So the men took him, his wife, and his two daughters by the band and led them out of the city. Then one of the angels said, "Run for your lives, don't look back and don't stop in the valley. Run to the hills so that you won't be killed." But Lot answered, "No, please don't make us do that, sir. You have done me a great favor and saved my life. But the hills are too far away, the disaster will overtake me and I will die before I get there. Do you see that little town? It is near enough. Let me go over there and you can see it is just a small place and I will be safe." He answered, "All right, I agree. I won't destroy the town. Hurry, run. I can't do anything until you get there." Because Lot called it small, the town was named Zor. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. The sun was rising when Lot reached Zor. Suddenly the Lord rained burning sulfurs rain burning sulfur the Lord rained burning sulfur on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and destroyed them and the whole valley along with all the people there and everything that grew on the land. But Lot's wife looked back, was turned into a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham hurried to the place where he had stood in the presence of the Lord. He looked down at Sodom and Gomorrah, and the whole valley was and smoke rising from the land like smoke from a huge furnace. But when God destroyed the cities of the valley where Lot was living, he kept Abraham in mind and allowed Lot to escape to safety. The region of the Moabites and Ammonites. Because Lot was afraid to stay in Zor, he and his two daughters moved up into the hills and lived in a cave. The older daughter said to her sister, "Our father is getting old and there are no men in the whole world to marry us so that we can have children. Come on, let's get our father drunk so that we can sleep with him and have children by him." That night they gave him wine to drink, and the older daughter had intercourse with him. But he was so drunk that he didn't know it. The next day the older daughter said to her sister, "I slept with him last night. Now let's get him drunk tonight. And you sleep with him, then each of us will have a child by our father." So that night they got him drunk, and the younger daughter had intercourse with him. Again, he was so drunk that he didn't know it. In this way, both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their own father. The older daughter had a son whom she named Moab. He was the ancestor of the present-day Moabites. The younger daughter also had a son whom she named Ben-Ammi. He was the ancestor of the present-day Ammonites. Abraham and Abimelech. Abraham moved from Mamre to southern part of Canaan and lived between Kadesh and Shur. Later, while he was living in Gerar, he said that his wife Sarah was his sister. So King Abimelech of Gerar had Sarah brought to him. One night, God appeared God appeared to him in a dream and said, "You are going to die because you have taken this woman. She is already married." But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, "Lord, I am innocent. Would you destroy me? Would you destroy me and my people?" Abraham himself said that she was his sister, and she said the same thing I did. This with a clear conscience, and I have done no wrong. God replied in the dream, "Yes, I know that you did it with a clear conscience. So I kept you from sinning against me and did not let you touch her. But now give the woman back to her husband. He is a prophet, and he will pray for you, so that you will not die. But if you do not give her back, I warn you that you are going to die, you and all of your people." Early the next morning, Abimelech called all his officials and told them what had happened, and they were terrified. Then Abimelech called Abraham and asked, "What have you done to us? What wrong I have done to make you bring this disaster on me and my king? Bring this disaster on me and my kingdom. No one should ever do what you have done to me." "Why did you do it?" Abraham answered, "I thought there would be no one here who has reverence for God. And what they would kill me to get my wife. She really is my sister. She really is my sister. She's the daughter of my father, but not of my mother. And I married her, so when God sent me from my father's house into foreign lands, I said to her, 'You can show how loyal you are to me by telling everyone that I am your brother.' Then Abimelech gave Sarah back to Abraham, and at the same time he gave him sheep, cattle, and slaves. He said to Abraham, 'Here is my whole land. Live anywhere you like.' He said to Sarah, 'I am giving your brother 1,000 places of silver as proof to all who are with you that you are innocent. Everyone will know that you have done no wrong.' Because of what had happened to Sarah, Abraham's wife, the Lord had made it impossible for any woman to Abimelech's palace to have children, so God healed him. He also healed his wife and his slave woman so that they could have children. The birth of Isaac. The Lord blessed Sarah as he had promised, and she became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham when he was old. The boy was born at the time God had said he would be born. Abraham named him Isaac, and when Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him. As God had commanded, Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah said, "God has brought me joy and laughter. Everyone who hears it will laugh with me." Then she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." Then child grew, and on the day that he was weaned, Abraham had a great feast. Hagar and Ishmael are sent away. One day Ishmael, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, had born to Abraham, was playing with Sarah's son Isaac. Sarah saw them and said to Abraham, "Send this slave and her son away. The son of this woman must not get away any part of your wealth, which my son Isaac should inherit." This troubled Abraham very much, because Ishmael excuse me guys, because Ishmael also was his son. But as God to Abraham, "Don't be worried about the boy and your slave Hagar. Do whatever Sarah tells you, because it's through Isaac that you will have the descendants I have promised. I will also give many children to the son, to the slave woman, so that they will become a nation. He too is your son." Early the next morning, Abraham gave Hagar some food and a leather bag full of water. He put the child on a leather bag full of water. He put the child on her back and sent her away. She left and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water was all gone, she left the child under a bush and sat down about 100 yards away. She said to herself, "I can't bear to see my child die." While she was sitting there, she began to cry. God heard the boy cry, and from the God heard the boy crying from heaven, and the angel of God spoke to Hagar. What are you troubled about, Hagar? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy. He's heard the boy crying. Get up, get up, go and pick him up, and comfort it. I will make a great nation out of his descendants. Then God opened her eyes, and saw well she went and filled the letter back with water and gave some to the boy. God was with the boy. As he grew up, he lived in the wilderness of Haran and became a skillful hunter. His mother got an Egyptian wife for him. The agreement between Abraham and Abimelech. At that time, Abimelech went with Phicol, the commander of his army, and said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. So make a vow here in the presence of God that you will not deceive me, my children, or my descendants. I have been loyal to you, so promise that you will be loyal to me and to this country in which you are living. Abraham said, I promise. Abraham complained to Abimelech about the well which the servants of Abimelech had seized. Abimelech said, I don't know who did this. You didn't tell me about it. And this is the first I have heard of it. Then Abraham gave some sheep and cattle to Abimelech, and the two of them made an agreement. Abraham separated 7 lambs from his flock, and Abimelech asked him, why did you do that? Abraham answered, Accept the 7 lambs. By doing this, you admit that I am the one who dug this well. And so the place was called Beersheba, because it was there that the two of them made a vow. After they had made this agreement at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol went back to Philistia. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and worshipped the Lord, the everlasting God. Abraham lived in Philistia for a long time. God commands Abraham to offer Isaac. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He called to him Abraham, and Abraham answered, Yes, I am. Take your son, God said, your only son Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. There on a mountain that I will show you, offer him as a sacrifice to me. Early the next morning, Abraham cut some wood for the sacrifice, loaded his donkey, and took Isaac and 2 servants with him. They started out for the place that God told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham saw the place in the distance. Then he said to the servants, Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there and worship, and then we'll come back to you. Abraham made Isaac carry the wood for the sacrifice, and he himself carried a knife and live coals for starting the fire. As they walked along together, Isaac spoke up. Father, he answered, Yes, my son. Isaac asked, I see that you have the coals and the wood, but where's the lamb for the sacrifice? Abraham answered, God himself will provide one. And the two of them walked on together. When they came to the place which God had told him about, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it, and tied up his son and placed him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he picked up the knife to kill him, but the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, Yes, here I am. Don't hurt the boy or do anything to him. He said, Now I know that you honor and obey God, because you not kept back your only son from him. Abraham looked around and saw a ram caught in a bush by its horns, and went and got it and offered it as an offering instead of his son. Abraham named that place, The Lord Provides. And even today the people say on me, the Lord's mountain, he provides. The angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time, I make a vow, my own name, the Lord is speaking that I will richly bless you. But because he did this and did not keep back only son from me, I promise that I will give you as many descendants as there are stars in the sky, or grains or sand along the seashore. Your descendants will conquer their enemies. All the nations will ask me to bless them, as I have blessed your descendants. All because you obeyed my command. Abraham went back to his servants, and they went together to Beersheba, where Abraham settled. The descendants of Nahor. Sometime later, Abraham learned that Milcah had borne 8 children. to his brother Nahor. Uz the firstborn, Buz his brother Kemal, the father of Aram, Ches, Hazo, Pildash, Jidba, and Betuel, Rebekah's father, Milcah, bore these 8 sons to Nahor, Abraham's brother, Ruma, Nahor's concubine, bore Tepa, Gehem, Tahash, and Makkah. Sarah dies and Abraham buys a burial ground. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. She died in Hebron in the land of Canaan, and Abraham mourned her death. He left the place where his wife's body was lying, went to the Hittites and said, I am a foreigner living here. Among you. Sell me some land that I can bury my wife. Then answered, Listen to us, sir. We look upon you as a mighty leader. Bury your wife in the best grave that we have. Any of us will be glad to give you a grave that you can bury her. Then Abraham bowed before them and said, If you are willing to let me bury my wife here, please ask Ephron, son of Zohar, to sell me Machpelah cave, which is near the edge of his field. Ask him to sell it to me for its full price, here in your presence, so that I can own it as a burial ground. Ephron himself was sitting with the other Hittites, was meeting place at the city gate. He answered in the hearing of everyone there. Listen, sir, I will give you the whole field and the cave that is in it. Here in the presence of my own people, I will give it to you so that you can bury your wife. But Abraham bowed before the Hittites and said to Ephron, so that everyone could hear, May I ask you please to listen? I will buy the whole field, accept my payment, and I will bury my wife there. Ephron answered, Sir, land worth only 400 pieces of silver. What is that between us? Bury your wife in it. Abraham agreed and weighed out the amount the Ephron that had mentioned in the hearing of the people. 400 pieces of silver according to the strand and the weight used by the merchants. That is how the prior which had belonged to Ephron at Machpelah, east of Mamre, became Abraham's. It included the field, the cave which was in it, and all property. It was recognized as Abraham's property by all the Hittites who were there at the meeting. Then Abraham buried his wife Sarah in that cave in the land of Canaan. So the field which had belonged to Hittites and the cave in it, and it became property of Abraham for a burial ground. Right now we're in the Genesis chapter 24, guys. Update. In the Genesis chapter 24, verse, let's read it. Let's continue reading it. A wife for Isaac. Abraham was now very old, and the Lord has blessed him in everything he did. He said to his oldest servant, who was in charge of all that he had, place your hand between my thighs and make a vow. I want you to make a vow in the name of the Lord and God of heaven and earth that you will not choose a wife for my son from the people here in Canaan. You must go back to the country where I was born and get a wife for my son Isaac from among my relatives. But the servant asked, what if the young woman will not leave home to come with home to this land? Shall I send your son back to the land you came from? And Abraham answered, make sure that you don't send my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, brought me from the home of my father and from the land of my relatives. And he solemnly promised me that he would give this land to my descendants. He will send his angel before you, so that you can get a wife there for my son. If the young woman is not willing to come with you, the young woman is not to come with you, you will be free from his promise, but you must not under any circumstances take my son back there. So the servant put his hand between the thighs of Abraham, his master, and made a vow to do what Abraham had asked. The servant who was in charge of Abraham's property took 10 of his master's camels and went to the city where Nahor had lived in northern Mesopotamia. When he arrived, He made the camels kneel down at the well outside the city. It was late afternoon, the time when woman came out to get get water. He prayed, Lord God of my master Abraham, give me success today and keep your promise to my master. Here I am at the well where the young woman of the city the city will become will be coming to get water. The city will be coming to get water. I will say to one of them, please lower your jar and let me have a drink. If she says drink, and I will also bring water for her camels, and may be the one. She may be the one you have chosen for your servant, Isaac. If this happens, I will know that I will know that you have I will know that you have kept your promise. I will know that I will know that you kept my promise to my master. Before he had finished praying, Rebekah arrived with a water jar on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel, who was the son of Abraham, brother Nahor, and his wife Mika. She was a very beautiful young woman and still a virgin. She went down to the well, filled her jar, and came back. The servant ran to meet her. It said, please give me a drink of water from your jar. She said, drink, sir, and quickly lowered her jar from her shoulder and held it. While he drank, when he had finished, she said, I'll also bring water for your camels and let them fall. They want. She quickly emptied her jar into the animals, drinking through. Drink it through and run to the well to get more water until she had watered all his camels. The man kept watching over in silence to see if the Lord had given him success. When she had given, the man took an expensive gold ring and put in her nose and put large gold bracelets on her arms. He said, please tell me who your father is. Is there room in his house for my man to spend the night? My father is Bethuel, the son of Nahor and Milcah. She answered, there is plenty of there is plenty of straw and fodder at our house, and there is place for you to stay. Then the man knelt down and worshipped the Lord. He said, praise the Lord God, the God of my master Abraham, who has faithfully kept his promise to my master. The Lord has led me straight. To my master's relatives, the young woman ran to her mother's house and told the whole story. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban, and he ran outside to go to the well. Had seen the nose ring and the braces on his sister's arms, and had her said what the man had told her. He went to Abraham's servant, who was standing by his camels at the well, and said, come home with me. You are a man whom the Lord has blessed. Why are you standing out here? I have a room ready for you in my house, and there is a place for your camels. So the man went out into the house, and Laban unloaded the camels and gave them straw and fodder. Then he brought water for Abraham's servant and his men to wash their feet. When food was brought, the man said, I will not eat until I have said what I have to say. Laban said, go on and speak, and I am the servant of Abraham. He began, the Lord has greatly blessed, and my master had made a rich man. He has given flocks of sheep and goats, cattle, silver, gold, male and female, slaves, camels, and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore him a son when she was old, and my master has given everything he owns to him. My master made me a promise with a vow to obey his command. He said, do not choose a wife for my son, the young woman in the land of Canaan. Instead, go to my father's people, to my relatives, and choose a wife for him. And I asked my master, what if she will not come with me? He answered, the Lord whom I have always obeyed will send his angels with you and give you success. You will get for my son a wife from my own people, from my father's family. There is only one way for you to be free from your vow. If you go to my relatives and they refuse you, then you will be free. When I came to the well, I prayed, Lord God of my master Abraham, please give me the success what I am doing. Here I am at the well. When a young when a young woman comes out to get water, I will ask her to drink water first to waters for my camels, and may she be the one you have chosen and the wife, master's son. Before I had finished my silent prayer, Rebekah came with a with the water on her shoulder and went down to the well. Together I said to her, please give me a drink. And she lowered her jar from her shoulder and said, drink and I will also water your camels. And so I drank and she watered the camels. I asked her, who is your father? And she answered, my father is Bethuel, son of Nahor, Milcah. Then I will put the ring and bracelet of Nahor's son. I knelt down, promised to the would let me swear to master relative, where I found for my master's son. Now if you intend to fulfill your responsibility toward my master and treat him fairly, please tell. Me if not, say so, and I will decide what to do. Laban and better letter become that white your master's son, as the Lord himself has said. When the servant of Abraham heard this, he bowed down and worshipped the Lord. Then he our clothing and gold jewelry and gave to Rebekah. He also gave expensive gifts and to her brother and to her mother. Then Abraham's servant and the man went with him and drank and spent the night here. Spent the night there. When they got up in the morning, he said, let me go back to my master. But Rebekah's brother and her mother said, let her stay us with a week or 10 days. But then she may go. But she said, don't make us stay. The Lord has made my journey success. Let me go back to my master. Then answered, let's call her and find out what she has to say. So they called Rebekah and asked, do you want to go with this man? Yes, she answered. So they let Rebekah and her old family servant go with Abraham's servant and his man. And they gave Rebekah their blessing, these words, may you, sister, become mother of millions. May your descendants conquer the cities of their enemies. Then Rebekah and her young woman got ready, mounted the camels to go with Abraham's servant, and they all started out. Isaac had come into the wilderness of the well of the living one, who sees me, and was staying in the southern part of Canaan. He went out in the early evening. He went out and saw the camels coming. When Rebekah saw Isaac, she got down from her camel and asked Abraham's servant, who is that man towards us in the field? He is my master, the servant. And the servant answered. So she took her scarf and covered her face. Had done, then Isaac brought Rebekah into the tent that his mother Sarah had lived in, and she became wife. Isaac loved Rebekah, and so he was comforted for the loss of his mother. Alright guys, I will try to take a break, kind of drink some water like that. I will be back. Don't worry about that. Update, we are already in the chapter 25 of Genesis. I will be back, guys. Hello guys, I'm already back. Just 22 chapters were already done, and thank God very much for that. Thank God very much for that. And now let's continue. We are the other descendants of Abraham. Genesis 25. Alright, let's continue again. Lord, give me strength. Abraham married another woman whose name was Keturah. Alright, let's continue. Abraham married another woman whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zebron, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba, and Dedan was the descendant of Dedan, and Dedan was the descendants of Dedan. Were the Ashurim, the Letashim, and the Lesuim, the sons of Midian, which Epna, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Elda, all these were Keturah's descendants. Abraham left everything he owned to Isaac, but while he was still alive, he gave presents to the sons his others' wives had borne him. Then he sent his sons to the land of the east, away from his sons Isaac, the death and burial of Abraham. Abraham died at the ripe age of 175. His sons Isaac and Ishmael was buried him in the Machpelah cave. In the field east, son of Zohar the Hittite, it was the field that Abraham had brought the Hittites. Both Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried there. After the death of Abraham, God blessed his son Isaac, who lived near the well of the living one who sees me. The descendants of Ishmael, whom Hagar the Egyptian slave of Sarah bore to Abraham, had following sons listed in the order of their birth: Nebat, Kedar, Adbil, Midsam, Mishma, Duma, Masa, Hadad, Demar, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. They were ancestors of 12 tribes, and their names were given to their villages and camping places. Ishmael was 137 years old when he died. The descendants of Ishmael lived in the territory between Havia and Shur, the east of Egypt, on the way to Assyria. They live apart from the other descendants of Abraham. The birth of Esau and Jacob. This is the story of Abraham's son, Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, an Aramean from Mesopotamia, and sister of Laban. Because Rebekah had no children, Isaac prayed to the Lord for her, and the Lord answered his prayer. And Rebekah became pregnant. She was going to have twins, and before they were born and struggled and other in her womb, she said, "Why should something like this happen to me?" She went asked to the Lord for an answer. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are within you. You will give birth to two rival peoples. One will be stronger than the older, and the older will serve the younger." The time come for her to give birth, and she had twin sons. The first one was reddish, and his skin was like a heavy robe, so he was named Esau. The second one was born holding on tightly to the heel of Esau, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. Esau sold his rights as the firstborn son. The boys grew up, and Esau became a skilled hunter, a man who loved the outdoors, but Jacob was a quiet man who stayed at home. Isaac preferred Esau because he enjoyed eating animals Esau killed, but Rebekah preferred Jacob. One day while Jacob was cooking some bean soup, Esau came in from hunting. He was hungry and said to Jacob, "I'm starving. Give me some of that red stuff." That is why he was named Edom. Jacob answered, "I will give it to you if you give me your rights as the firstborn son." Esau, "All right. I'm about to die. What good will my rights do me?" Jacob answered, "First make a road that you will give your rights." Esau made the made a vow and gave his rights to Jacob. Then Jacob gave him some bread and some of the soup. He ate and drank and got up left. Then that was all Esau cared about, his rights as the firstborn son. And now already, guys, we are already at the chapter 26 of the Genesis. Isaac lives at Gerar. There was another famine in the land besides the earlier one during the time of Abraham. Isaac went to Abimelech, killed the Philistines. Gerar, the Lord had appeared to Isaac and had said, "Do not go to Egypt. Stay in this land when I tell you to stay. Live here and I will be with you, bless you. I am going to give this territory to you and to your descendants. I will keep this your promise to your father Abraham. I will give as many descendants as there are stars in the sky, and I will give them all this territory. All nations will ask me to bless them as I have blessed your descendants. I will bless you because Abraham obeyed me and kept all my laws and commands." So Isaac lived at Gerar. When the man there asked about his wife, he said that she was his sister. He would not admit that she was his wife because he was afraid that the man there would kill him to get Rebekah, who was very beautiful. When Isaac had been looking for some time, King Abimelech looked down from his window and saw Isaac and Rebekah making love. Abimelech sent for Isaac and said, "So she is your wife. Why did you say she was your sister?" He answered, I thought I would be killed if I said she was my wife. What have you done to us?" Abimelech said, "One of my men might easily step with your wife, and you would have been responsible of our guilt." Abimelech warned all of the people, "Anyone who mistreats this man or wife will put to death." Isaac saw the crop in the land that she had arrested in a year 100 times. As much he had sown because the Lord blessed him. He continued prosper and became a very rich man because he had many herds of sheep and cattle and many servants, and the Philistines were jealous of him. So they killed in all the wells which the servants of his father Abraham had dug while Abraham was alive. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Leave our country. You have become most powerful than we are." So Isaac left and set up a camp in Gerar Valley, where he stayed for some time. He dug once again the wells which had been dug during the time of Abraham, and which the Philistines had stopped up there. Abraham's dead. Isaac gave the wells the same names that his father had given them. Isaac's servants dug a well in the valley and found water. The shepherds of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's shepherds and said, "This water belongs to us." So Isaac gave the well quarrel. Isaac's servants dug another well, and there was a quarrel about the one also. So he named it enmity. He moved away from there and dug another, moved away from there and another well. There was so many dispute about about this one. So he named freedom. He said, "Now the Lord has given us the freedom to live in the land, and we will be prosperous here." Isaac left and went to the Beersheba that night. That the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid. I am with you. I will bless you, and I give you many descendants because of my promise to my servant Abraham. Isaac built an altar there and worshipped the Lord. Then he set up his camp, and his servants dug another well. The agreement between Isaac and Abimelech. Abimelech came from Gerar with Ahuzat, his advisor, and Phicol, and the commander of his army, to see Isaac. So Isaac asked, What have you now come to see me? When you were when have you now come to see me when you were so unfriendly to me before and made me leave this country? They answered, Now we know that the Lord is with you, and we think that there should be a solemn agreement between us. We want you to promise that you will not harm us, just as we did not harm you. We were kind to you and let you go peacefully now. Now it's clear that the Lord has blessed you. Isaac prepared a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early next morning, each man made his promise and sealed it with a vow. Isaac said goodbye to him, and they parted as friends. On the day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well which they had dug, they said, We have found water. He named the well Vow. That is how the city Beersheba got its name. Esau's foreign wives. When Esau was 40 years old, he married to Hittites Judith, the daughter of Mary, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon. They made life miserable, or Isaac and Rebekah. Now we're at the 27. Yay! Isaac blesses Jacob. Isaac was now old, and he had become blind. He sent for his older son Esau, and said it to him. Son, yes, he answered. Isaac did. You see that I am old, and you may die soon. Take your bow and arrows. Go out into the country and kill an animal for me. Cook me some of that tasty food that I like, and I bring it to me. After I have eaten it, I will give you my final blessings before I die. While Isaac was talking to Esau, Rebekah was listening. So when Esau went out to hunt, she said to Jacob, I have heard your father say to Esau, bring me an animal and cook it for me. After I have eaten it, I will give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord. Before I die, now son Rebekah, continue listen to me and do what I say. Go to the flock and pick out two fat young goats, so that I can cook them and make some of that your father likes so much. You can take it to him to eat, and he will give you his blessings before he dies. But Jacob said to his mother, you know that Esau is a hairy man, but I have smooth skin. Alright, Scribble 1073, shout out to you. Your brother or a sister? But I don't know if you're a brother or a sister. I don't care if you're a man or woman. But God bless you, Scribble 1073. God bless you. Alright, so let's continue. But Jacob said to his mother, you know that Esau is a hairy man, but I have smooth skin. Perhaps my father touch me and find out. I will bring a curse on myself instead of a blessing. His mother answered, let any curse against you fall on me. My son, just do as I say and go and get the goats for me. So went to get them and brought them to her, and she cooked the kind of food that his father liked. Then took Esau's clothes, which she kept in the house, and put them on Jacob. She put the skins of the goats on his arms, on the hairless part of his neck. She handed him his tasty food along with the bread she had asked. Then Jacob went to his father and said, Father. Yes, he answered. Which of my sons are you? Jacob answered, I am your oldest son Esau. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of the meat that I have brought to you, so that you can give me your blessing. Isaac said, how did you find it so quickly, son? Jacob answered, the Lord your God helped me find it. Isaac said to Jacob, please come closer so that I can touch you. Are you really Esau? Jacob moved closer to his father, who fell and said, your voice sounds like Jacob's voice, and your arms feels like Esau's arms. His arms were hairy like Esau's. He was about to give him blessing, but asked again, are you really Esau? I am, he answered. Isaac said, bring me some of the meat. After I eat, I will give you my blessing. Jacob brought it to him, and also brought him some wine to drink. Then his father said to him, come closer and kiss me, son. As he came to kiss him, Isaac smelled his clothes, so he gave him blessing. He said, the pleasant smell of a son is like the smell of a field which the Lord had blessed. May God give you dew from heaven, and make your fields fertile. May he give you plenty of grain and wine. May nations be your servants, and may peoples bow down before you. May you rule over all your relatives, and may your brothers' descendants bow you down before you. May those who curse you bless, and may those who curse you be blessed. Esau begs for Isaac's blessing. Isaac finished giving his blessing, and as soon as Jacob left, his brother Esau came in the morning. He also cooked some tasty food and took it to his father. He said, please, father, sit up and eat some of the meat that I have brought you, so that you can give me your blessing. Who are you? Isaac asked, your older son Esau. He answered, Isaac. Isaac began to tremble and shake all over, and he asked, who killed an animal and brought it to me, and I ate just before you came. I gave him my final blessing, and thou, so it is forever. When Esau heard this, he cried out loudly and bitter fly and said, give you your blessing also, father. Isaac answered, your brother came and deceived me. He has taken away your blessing. Esau said, this is the second time that he has cheated me. No wonder, no wonder his name is Jacob. He took my rights as the firstborn son, and now he has taken away my blessing. Have you saved a blessing for me? Isaac answered, I have already made him master over you, and I have made all his relatives his slaves. I have given him grain and wine. Now there is nothing that I can do for you, son. Esau continued to plead with his father. Do you have only one blessing, father? Bless me too, father. He began to cry. Then Isaac said to him, no dew from heaven for you, no fertile fields for you. You will live by your sword, but be your brother's slave. Yet, when you rebel, you will break away from his control. Esau hated Jacob because his father had given Jacob the blessing. He thought that the time to mourn my father's death is near. Then I will kill Jacob. But when Rebekah heard about Esau's plan, she sent Jacob and said, listen to your brother. Esau is planning to get it even with you and kill you now. Now, son, do what I say. Go at once to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him for a while until your brother's anger cools down, and he forgets what you have done to him. And then I will send someone bring you back. Why should I lose my sons on the same day? Isaac sends Jacob to Laban. Rebekah said to Isaac, I am sick and tired of Esau's foreign wives. If Jacob also marries one of the Hittites, I might as well die. Now we're at the 28. Yay! Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, Lord. We're already done. We're almost done at Genesis. So shout out to the 3 people watching. God bless you all, guys. We're reading the whole book of Genesis, and update, we're already at the Genesis chapter 28. So let's continue it. Isaac called Jacob, greeted him, and told him, don't marry a Canaanite. Go instead to Mesopotamia, to the home of your grandmother Bethuel, and marry one of your grandfather Bethuel, and marry one of the young women, one of your uncle Laban's daughters, and may Almighty God bless your marriage and give you many children, so that you will become the father of your many nations. May He bless you and your descendants as He blessed Abraham, and may you take possession of this land in which you have lived and which God gave to Abraham. Isaac sent Jacob away to Mesopotamia, to Laban, who was the son to Bethuel the Aramean, and the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau takes another wife. Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Mesopotamia to find a wife. He also learned that when Isaac blessed him and commanded him not to marry a Canaanite woman, he found out that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and had gone to Mesopotamia. Esau then understood that his father Isaac did not approve of Canaanite women, so he went to Ishmael, son of Abraham, and married his daughter Mahalat, who was the sister of Nebaioth. Jacob's dream at battle. Jacob left Beersheba and started toward Haran. At sunset, he came to a holy place and camped there. He lay down to sleep, resting his head on a stone. He dreamed that he saw a stair stone. He dreamed her to heaven, with angels going up and coming down on it. And there was the Lord standing beside him. I am the Lord, the God of Abraham and Isaac. And he said, I will give to you and to your descendants this land on which you are lying. They will be as numerous as the specks of dust on the earth. They will extend their territory in all directions. And through you and your descendants I will bless all the nations. Remember, I will be with you and protect you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done all that I have promised you. Jacob woke up and said, the Lord is here. He is in this place, and I didn't know it. He was afraid and said, what a terrifying this place this is. It must be the house of God. It must be the gate that opens it to heaven. Jacob got up early next morning, took the stone that was next under his head, and set it up as a memorial. Then he poured olive oil on it to dedicate it to God. He named the place Bethel. Poured olive oil on it to dedicate to God. He named the place Bethel. The town there was one known as Luz. Then Jacob made a vow to the Lord, "If you will be with me and protect me on the journey I am making and give me food and clothing, and if I return safely to my father's home, then you will be my God. This memorial stone which I have set up will be the place where you are worshipped, and I will give you a tenth of everything of you gave me." Jacob arrives at Laban's house. Jacob continued on his way and went toward the land of the east. Suddenly, he came upon a well out in the fields, with 3 flocks of sheep lying around it. Around it. The rocks were watered from this well, which had a large stone over the opening. Whenever all the flocks came together, the shepherds would roll the stone back and water them. Then they would put the stone back in place. Jacob asked the shepherds, "My friends, where are you from?" "From Haran," they answered. He asked, he asked, "Do you know Laban, the grandson of Nahor?" "Yes, we do," they answered. "Is he well?" he asked. "He is well," they answered. "Look, here comes his daughter Rachel with his flock." Jacob said, "Since it's still broad daylight and not yet time to bring the flocks in, and why don't you water them and take them back to pasture?" They answered, we can't do that until all the flocks are here in the stone." Shout out to the 2 people watching. God bless you all, guys. God bless you all, best friends. Has been rolled back. We will water the flocks. While Jacob was still taking with them, Rachel arrived with the flock. When Jacob was Rachel with his uncle Laban's flock, and he went to the well, rolled the stone back, and watered the sheep. Then he kissed her and began to cry for joy. He told her, "I am your father's relative, the son of Rebekah." She ran to tell her father, and when he heard the news about the nephew Jacob, he ran to him, hugged him, and kissed him, and brought to him into the house. And when Jacob told Laban everything that had happened, Laban said, "Yes, indeed, you are my own flesh and blood." Jacob stayed there a whole month. Jacob searched Laban for Rachel and Leah. Laban said to Jacob, "You shouldn't work for me for nothing, because you are my relative. How much do you want? How much do you want?" Laban had 2 daughters, the older named Leah, the younger Rachel. Leah had lovely eyes, but Rachel was shapely and beautiful. But Rachel was shapely beautiful. Jacob was in love with Rachel, so he said, "I will work 7 years for you. If you will let me marry Rachel," Laban answered, "I would rather give it to you." Jacob worked 7 years so that he could have Rachel in that time. It only for a few days to him because he loved her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "The time is up. Let me marry your daughter." So Laban gave a wedding feast and invited everyone. But that night, instead of Rachel, he took Leah to Jacob, and Jacob had intercourse with her. Laban his slave was Zilpah to his daughter, and Leah as her maid. Not until the next morning, Jacob discovered that it was Leah. He went to Laban and said, "Why did you do this to me? I worked to get Rachel. Why have you tricked me?" Laban answered, It is not the custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older. Wait until the week's marriage celebrations are over, and I will give you Rachel if you will work for me another 7 years." Jacob agreed, and when the week of marriage celebration was over, Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban gave his slave woman Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maid. Jacob had intercourse with Rachel, and he loved her more than Leah. Then he worked for Laban another 7 years. Alright. The children born to Jacob. When the Lord saw that Leah was loved less than Rachel, he made it possible for her to have children and give the birth to a son. She said, "The Lord has seen my trouble, and now my husband will love me." So she named him Reuben. She became pregnant again
and gave it to another son, and said, "The Lord has given birth to another son." She said, "The Lord has given me this son also, because he heard that I was not loved." So she named him Simeon. Once again, she became pregnant and gave birth to another son. She said, "Now my husband will be bound more tightly to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." So he named Levi. Then she be- then she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son. She said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. Alright, we're in the chapter 30 right now, best friends. May God bless us all. Thank you very much for that. We're at the chapter 30 of Genesis. Let me just drink. Thank you, Lord, very much for that. Alright, we're into the chapter 30, guys. For the 2 people watching, shout out to you all of you guys. May God bless you all. So let's continue to the Genesis chapter 30. But Rachel had not borne Jacob any children, so she became jealous of her sister and said to Jacob, give me children or I will die." Jacob became angry with Rachel and said, "I can take the place of God. He is the one who keeps you from having children." She said, "Here is my slave Bilhah. Sleep with her she can she can have a child for me. In this way I can become a mother through her." So she gave her Bilhah to her husband, and she had intercourse with her. Bilhah became pregnant and bore Jacob a son. Thank you, Lord, very much. Rachel said, "God has judged in my favor. He has heard my prayer and has given me a son." So she named him Dan. Bilhah became pregnant again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel said, "I have fought a hard fight with my sister, but I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah realized that she had stopped having children, she gave her slave Zilpah to Jacob as his wife. Then Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Leah said, "I have been lucky," so she named him Gad. Zilpah bore to Jacob another son, and Leah said, "How happy," so she named him Asher. During the wheat harvest, Reuben went into the fields and found mandrakes, which he brought to his mother, and said, "Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Leah answered, "Isn't it enough that you have taken away my husband? You are even trying to take away my son's mandrakes." Rachel said, "If you will give me your son's mandrakes, you can sleep with Jacob tonight." When Jacob came in from the fields in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You are going to sleep with me tonight, because I have paid for you with my son Mandrake." So he had intercourse with her that night. God answered Leah's prayer, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my reward, because I gave my slave to my husband." So she named her son Ishar. Leah became pregnant again and bore Jacob a sixth son. She said, "God has given me a fine gift. Now my husband will accept me, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named Zebulon. Later she bore a daughter whom she had named Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel as he answered her prayer, and God made it possible for her to have children. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She said, "God has taken away my disgrace. By giving me a son, may the Lord give me another son." So she named him Joseph. Jacob's bargain with Laban. After the birth of Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Let me go, so that I can return home. Give me my wives and children that I have earned by working for you, and I will live well I have served you." Laban said to him, "Let me say this I have learned by divination, that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Leave your wages and I will pay them." Jacob answered, you know how I have worked for you and how your flocks have prospered under my care. The little you prospered under the little you had before I came has grown enormously, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I went. Now it is time for me to look out for my own interests. What shall I pay you? Laban asked. Jacob answered, I don't want any of your waste. I will continue to take care of your flocks if you agree to these suggestions. Let me go through your flocks today and take every black lamb and every spotted of speckled young goat that is the young all the wages I want. In the in the future, you can easily find out if I had been honest. When you come to check up on my wages, if I have any goat that isn't speckled or spotted or any sheep that isn't back, you will know that it has been stolen. Laban answered, Laban answered, agreed, we will do as you suggest. But that day, Laban removed the male goats that had stripes or spots, and all the females that were speckled and spotted or which had white on them. He also removed all the black on them, removed all the black sheep. He put his sons in charge of them. And then away from Jacob with this flock as far as he could travel in 3 days, Jacob took care of the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob got green branches of poplar, almond, and the plane trees and striped up some of the bark so that the branches had white stripes of them. He placed these in branches in front of the flocks. At their drinking troughs, he put them there because the animals mated when they came to drink. So when the goats bred in front of the branches, they produced young that were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob kept the sheep separated from the goats. It made them face in the direction of the streaked and black animals of Laban's flocks. In his way, he built up his own flock and kept it apart from Laban's. When the healthy animals were mating, Jacob put the branches in front of them at the drinking troughs so that they would breed among the branches, but he did not put branches in front of the weak animals. Soon Laban had all the weak animals and Jacob had all the healthy ones. In his way, Jacob became very wealthy and he had many flocks, slaves, camels, and donkeys. Now we are Genesis chapter 31. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, God, for that. We're ready at Genesis chapter 31. Yay! Alright, guys. We're at chapter 31 of Genesis. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying Jacob has taken everything that belonged to our father. He got all his wealth from what our father owned. He also saw what Laban was no longer as friendly he had been earlier. Then the Lord said to him, go back to the land of your fathers, and to your relatives I will be with you. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to meet him in the field where his flocks were. He said to him, I noticed that your father not as friendly toward me as he used to be, but my father's God has been used to me. You both know that I have worked for your father with all my strength, yet he has cheated in my eye and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not let him harm me. Whenever Laban said, the speckled goats shall be your wages, and all the flocks the striped goats shall be your wages. All the flocks produce striped young. God has taken flocks away from your father and given them to me. During the breeding season I had a dream, and I saw that the male goats that were mating striped, spotted, and speckled, the angel of God spoke to me in the dream and said, Jacob. Yes, I answered. Look, he continued, all the male goats that are mating are striped, spotted, and speckled. I am making this happen because I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God who appeared to you at battle where you had dedicated a stone as a memorial are pouring olive oil in it. And where you made a vow to me, now get ready and go back to the land where you were born. Rachel and Leah answered Jacob, there is nothing left for us to inherit from our father. He treats us like foreigners. He sold us and now he has spent money and paid for all of us. All of his wealth which God has taken from our father belongs to us, and to our children do whatever God has told you. So Jacob got ready to go back to his father in the land of Canaan. He put his children and his wives on the camels and drove all his flocks ahead of him. With everything that he had got in Mesopotamia, Laban had gone to shear sheep, and during his absence, Rachel stole the household gods that belonged to her father. Jacob deceived Jacob deceived Laban by not letting him know that he was living. He took everything he owned and left in a hurry. He crossed the Euphrates River and started for the hill country of Gilead. Laban pursues Jacob. 3 days later, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. He took his men with him and pursued Jacob for 7 days, until he caught up with him in the hill country of the Gilead. In a dream that night, God came to Laban and said to him, "Be careful not to tread on Jacob in any way." Jacob had set up his camp on a mountain, and Laban set up his camp with his relatives in the hill country of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, "Why did you deceive and carry off my daughters like women captured in war? Why did you deceive me and slip away without telling me? If you had told me, I would have sent you on your way with your rejoicing and singing to the music of tambourines and harps. You did not even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. That was a foolish thing to do. I have the power to do you harm, but last night the God of your father warned me not to threaten you in any way. I know that you left because you were so anxious to get back home. Why did you steal my household gods?" Jacob answered, "I was afraid because I thought that you take your daughters away from me. But if you find that anyone here has your gods, he will put to death here with our men as witnesses. Look for anything that belongs to you, and take what is yours." Jacob did not know what Rachel had stolen Laban's gods. Laban went and searched Jacob's tent. Then he went into Leah's tent and the tent of the 2 slave women, but he did not find his gods. When he went to Rachel's tent, Rachel had taken in the household gods and put them in camel's saddlebag and was sitting on them. Laban searched through the whole tent, but did not find them. Rachel said to her father, "Do not be angry with me, sir, but I am not able to stand up in your presence. I am having my monthly period." Laban searched but did not find his household gods. Then Jacob lost his temper. "What crime have I committed?" he asked angrily. "What law have I broken that I give to you the right to hunt me down? Now that you have searched me through all my belongings, what household article have you found belongs to you? Find that belongs to you, put it out here where your man and mine can see it. And then let them decide which one of us is it, and let them decide which one of us is right. I have been with you now for 20 years. Your sheep on your goats have not failed to reproduce. I have not eaten any rams from your flocks. Whenever a sheep from your animals, I always bore the loss of myself. I did it take to you to show that it was not my fault. You demanded that I make good anything that was stolen during day or during the night. Many times I suffered from the heat during the day and from the cold of the night. I was not able to sleep. It was like that. For the whole 20 years I worked to win your 2 daughters. And 6 years you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my fathers, the God of Abraham and Isaac, had not been with me, you would have already sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my trouble and the work I have done, and last night he gave his judgment. The agreement between Jacob and Laban. Laban answered Jacob, "These young women were my daughters. Their children belong to me, and these flocks are mine. In fact, everything you see here belongs to me. But since I can do nothing to keep my daughters and their children, I am ready to make an agreement with you. Let us make a pile of stones to remind us our agreement. So Jacob got a stone and set it up as a memorial. He told this man to gather some rocks and pile them up. Then they ate a meal beside the pile of rocks. Laban named it Jegar Sahadutha, while Jacob named it Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, "This pile of socks will be a reminder for both of us. That is why that place was named Galilee." Laban also said, "May the Lord keep an eye on us. May the Lord keep an eye on us." Laban also Laban also said, "May the Lord keep an eye on us while we are separated from each other." So the place was also named Mizpah. Laban went on, "If you mistreat my daughters, if you marry other women, even though I don't know about it, remember that God is watching us. Here are the rocks that I have piled up between us, and here's the memorial stone. Both this pile and this memorial stone are reminders I will never go beyond in this pile to attack you, and you must never go beyond it or beyond this memorial stone to attack me. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor will judge between us." Then in the name of the God of whom his father Isaac worshipped, worshipped Jacob, solemnly vowed to keep his promise. He killed an animal which he offered as a sacrifice on the meal. After he had eaten, they spent the night on the mountain. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters goodbye and left to go back home. So I think that's gonna be it for this, guys. We're gonna make reading the full book of Genesis part 2, because in the part 2, I think it will be tomorrow. We'll be at the chapter 32 of Genesis. Like, we're also close with it, guys. But I will end this video right now. So guys, thank you for watching this video. May God bless us all.